Nick Faldo recently bid a rather emotional farewell to his career as a golf analyst with CBS. After 16 years of excellence, it seems that the time for Faldo to move on is finally here. The legend certainly made a name for himself in the sport and was even knighted by the Queen for his many accomplishments. So, in today's video, we'll be commemorating his career by talking about some of his best moments on television. First up, a look at his career. The British golfer is for sure one of the longest-serving individuals in the sport. His career in golf has been multi-tiered, where he first was a professional player and then later became a renowned TV commentator and analyst. During his 22 years long career as a pro golfer, the 65-year-old was able to snag 6 major championship wins. Faldo also held on to his rank as #1 golfer in the world for 97 weeks. He was awarded a knighthood by Queen Elizabeth II for his services to golf in 2009. He was also named the 2012 Ambassador of Golf by the PGA Tours, but his time as a part of the CBS golf broadcast team was no less important. Faldo's relatable personality, quick wit, and humor always made him a fan favorite. Sir Nick had first announced his desire to retire back in June when he mentioned that he wanted to spend more quiet time with his family rather than having a busy traveling schedule. Reports also state that he'll soon be pursuing other partnerships and opportunities. Well, we sure hope that the Live League stays far away from him. Now, let's talk about his teary on-air farewell. Sir Nick Faldo is definitely one of the most recognizable faces and voices of golf. The 65-year-old has had a stellar career in the sport, whether we're talking about his performance on the field or him as an analyst. But of course, all good things must come to an end. During the conclusion of CBS's broadcast from the PGA Tour Wyndham Championship earlier this month, the Brit said goodbye to his almost 2-decade-long career. Faldo was visibly in tears when asked to deliver his final remarks and tried hard to compose himself. The analyst first recalled being asked to sit next to Jim Nance in 2006 while on a boat in Ireland. He joked that this news made him fall out of the boat, and it was really wholesome to see Faldo sit right next to Nance while delivering these thoughts 16 years later after sharing a pretty cool professional career. The latter even patted his longtime partner's back to comfort him during the emotional speech. Moving on, Faldo shared a beautiful farewell with his other broadcast partners as well. The British golfer was sitting alongside Nance, Frank Nabillo, and Ian Baker Finch during his last broadcast. It goes without saying that all of them are pretty sad while saying goodbye to such an amazing personality. Nance, being Sir Nick's longtime partner, was most vocal about his sentiments. He stated that this had been an amazing run, and the others obviously agreed. Everyone had something nice to say about the analyst, but things got even more teary-eyed when, towards the end, Faldo said, "I'm a single child, and I found, at 65, 3 brothers." And of course, Sir Nick didn't forget to thank the crew for doing all the hard work while the easy job fell to his lot. Seems like the vibe in the booth was very intense and heavy with emotions. We're half sure that after the camera ended filming, the CBS crew went through a couple of tissue boxes, and as he got ready to get up and walk out, his partners gave him a truly deserving standing ovation. Oh well, cue the waterworks. This definitely is the end of an amazing era. And now, as he gets ready to hang up his boots, let's take a look at his best moments on television. Of course, no real tribute is complete without reliving some of the coolest parts of an individual's career. Here we've got a rather fun compilation for you of all the awesome moments of Sir Nick Faldo's career. First up, let's see what happens when Gary Player catches you eating a cupcake. We're sure that all of you golf enthusiasts know how Gary Player is big on healthy eating. Well, it just so happened that Player joined Faldo and Terry Gannon in the broadcasting booth while they were working as commentators in the second round of the Humana Challenge back in 2014. Faldo thought it was a good idea to pull out a cupcake in front of Player, who jokingly did a fake karate chop in order to keep him from eating it. Sir Nick had something else in mind as he just casually tossed the pink cupcake behind him. But here's the thing, it ended up getting stuck to the backdrop. So yeah, the cupcake just remained there, seemingly floating in the air. Who knew the Brit was such a wizard? But most importantly, did anyone end up claiming the cupcake afterward? These are some questions we probably won't know the answer to anytime soon. But wait a minute, that's not all. The next year, Faldo tried to repeat the same thing in Gary Player's honor, but the cupcake didn't stick this time around. So in his own words, it was a miracle last year. Next, Sir Nick definitely knew his way around puns as a commentator. Tad Fujikawa, as you might know, is one of the shortest golfers in the sport at 5'1". While interviewing Fujikawa after a round he just played, Faldo introduced him as, "Here at full stretch, Tad Fujikawa." That's hilarious, as the player was, in fact, standing on a box at the time to appear as tall as Nick. The two later joked about how the change in height made the ball seem smaller. They even ended up posing back-to-back, showing off matching Shaka sign hand gestures. That's really awesome, don't you think? Moving on, he proved to be one heck of a friend, even on air. During a broadcast, Sir Nick thought it had to be a good idea to celebrate his dear friend Jim Nance's birthday. Nance, at the time, was turning 56, so naturally, Faldo thought it was an occasion worth celebrating. He whipped out a cake filled with all the gaudy colors, and with "Happy Birthday from all your friends" written on top of it. The cake sure was a spectacle, donning bright pink, blue, purple, and yellow icing. It seriously looked like a bunch of highlighters stacked on top of each other. Apparently, he had followed his rich and famous Martha Stewart recipe for that debacle. Now, if that doesn't scream best friends, we don't know what does. But wait, that's not all. You obviously can't celebrate a birthday without a proper gift. Sir Nick was very well aware of that, and so he whipped out something else as well from behind the table. Full disclosure, it was a pretty shady-looking brown paper bag with "Happy 56th, my old fruit" scrawled across it. When Nance opened the bag, it contained a bag of flaxseed. Isn't that thoughtful? Faldo went on to say at the age of 56, it's all about fiber. Well, who wouldn't want to have him as a partner and friend? Next up, seems as if Sir Nick wasn't afraid of telling everyone he stank. During one of the broadcasts, the British golfer turned commentator was sitting next to Mike Tirico. From the looks of it, it appeared as if a sweaty Faldo had just entered the booth when the play happened to stop, and when Tirico commented on this, Sir Nick blamed it upon his sweaty condition. He continued to joke about it, saying that his wet hair could only be achieved if one stuck their head in a sink. The fun didn't stop there. While talking to Tirico, he just raised one of his arms to get a whiff of his armpits. Now, that's something you don't see a former #1 golfer and knighted individual do on television very often. Tirico went on to let the Brit know that he, in fact, didn't stink, and he seemed very thankful for that since there were only 3 people in the booth, so a stinky person just might have been too much. And how could we forget his ice bucket challenge? The star accepted the challenge after being nominated at the Barclays. The utter shock was pretty visible on his face and through his tightly clenched fists as he got water thrown at his head from 2 big buckets. We've got the shivers just from looking at it. And can you guess who he ended up nominating after completing the challenge? That's right, Jim Nance. And finally, Sir Nick is no less than an action hero. That's right. And if you didn't already have enough reasons to like him, then this one will definitely seal the deal for you. One of the funniest moments in Faldo's career was his Tom Cruise-inspired sprint on the course. Humming the soundtrack by himself, Faldo appeared very comical and rather breathless as he ran across the field while looking into a camera. And even though he claimed to finally know how Tom Cruise does it in Mission Impossible, we feel like it's our duty to tell you that wearing a tucked-in colored shirt with beige stripes, he looked the exact opposite. And on top of this, the poor guy was humming the wrong song. But hey, that doesn't stop him from being a hero. He could just as easily be a golf man. That's a wrap for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.